Before the PS methodology training, I feel like I was cruising along pretty comfortably. I liked my desk and where I sat. I liked my coworkers. I liked my manager. Life was good and I was content. I also felt like I was doing a pretty good job, maybe 4 out of 5 stars with my implementations. The PS methodology training was very eye-opening, especially seeing how we ranked ourselves versus how our customers ranked us in terms of our guiding principles. We thought we looked like this, while the customer was thinking we looked more like this. I also like seeing the methodology stages and steps laid out clearly. It made things easy to follow. The guiding principles helped me self-evaluate. In some areas, I felt like I was strong, and in other areas, I felt like I was weak. A big takeaway from seeing the guiding principles is that I finally understood what it meant to do it right. Our CEO, Alex, is always talking about getting it done and doing it right. However, in the past, I never fully understood what that meant for me in my role. I feel like I can now look at the guiding principles to get a better understanding of whether or not I'm doing my job right. A few of the guiding principles I have been working on specifically are around providing a clear path and giving status transparency. I now spend the beginning and end of each call reviewing the implementation plan with the customer. We discuss progress on previous assignments, new assignments, and next steps using the implementation plan. I also add to the plan as we go through discovery so that configuration is more tailored to the customer's specific needs or wants. For instance, if we find that the customer will need to create 3 different request forms, I will add tasks for these forms under the configuration task. Likewise, if we identify 5 templates that will need to be built, I add this information to the configuration step of the project template. I feel like this helps provide a clear path for the customer. I'm also working on becoming a more insanely great consultant by being more prescriptive in the way I talk to the customer. For instance, instead of saying, "You could do it this way," I now try to say, "You should do it this way." Or I'll throw in something like, "Customers have been most successful when they do things like this." Another of my favorite lines is, "It's best practice to do it like this." I found that customers love the reassurance that this provides. It's like putting a warm blanket over them and tucking them in. Another one of the big takeaways for me from the methodology training was hearing about all of the assets we have or would soon have access to. I'm now able to send my customers helpful PDFs and guides that I didn't know existed before, or I didn't know how to get to. For instance, I think that the Workfront communication plan is very useful, and I hadn't been utilizing it prior to the methodology training. However, I still have questions about how some of the assets are used. I think it would be nice to have a follow-up meeting and talk more about the most important assets and how they can be utilized. One of the last big changes I've made since the implementation methodology training is around note-taking. Prior to the training, my notes looked a bit like this, and now they look more like this. On the remote services team, we all have around 20 projects right now. This means that keeping each client straight can be difficult, especially when we have multiple back-to-back calls. I've found that leaving behind good notes after every call makes it easy for me to quickly pick back up where I left off. I also feel like I could win the lottery and quit working at Workfront, and someone else would be able to step in and get caught up to speed quickly based on my notes. Lastly, I want to note that although I've made good changes since the methodology training, I do still have a ways to go. But I am moving in the right direction and I'm beginning to disrupt myself. Thank you.